Hi everyone, welcome back to another tutorial. This week I'm going to paint a two-part tutorial. So I'm going to paint the first half one week and the second part then the following week. Okay, I hope you don't mind that. It's a nice big tutorial. It is of a water mill. Someone sent it on to me for a tutorial. So it's a water mill and we've lots of autumn trees and we've a bit of a waterfall in the front as well. It's going to be, I hope, it's going to be a stunning tutorial and you will learn a lot. I'm sure you will. So yes, that's what I'm going to paint this week. Lovely rich burnt siennas, autumn colours, yellows, browns, reds, that kind of thing. So yeah, I hope you don't mind that. Just a quick note as well, in case you're trying to contact me on Facebook. I have deactivated my page just for a while. I just had to switch it off because it was taking so much out of my time and my day, and I'm so busy these past couple of weeks. Just general kind of stuff, family stuff, working life, you know, that kind of thing. I'm just really busy at the moment, so I decided I just had to deactivate my Facebook page just for a little while, just for a couple of weeks, that's all, just so I can concentrate on tutorials, and I have to get some paintings done for people, for clients. I have a lot going on at home, that kind of thing, so I thought it'd probably be best if I just turn the page off just for a little while. I hope you understand, because I know a lot of you would contact me through Facebook and post paintings, that kind of thing, so I apologise sincerely for that. You can still email me your work if you want advice, or if you want to just show me how you're getting on and what you're painting. Please do just email me, stephenconway12@gmail.com. I would love to see how you're getting on. It's just, I find the Facebook thing sometimes it gets a little bit overwhelming, and it's just constant, you know, checking Facebook, and I think a lot of us probably come dependent on it and almost addicted to it, really, because you're constantly checking your notifications, and I sometimes might get 30 or 40 notifications every day on my Facebook page, so I just literally do not have the time to go on all day and just reply to all these messages, and it just takes a lot of time out of my day, and I'm really busy at the moment, so I think it's best just to take a little break from it, that's all. It's no harm, I don't think, every now and again just take a break, and it just kind of helps give you some perspective on life, you know what I mean? So I hope you don't mind that. Let me know what you think, just send me a mail or comment down below. Alright, just let me know what you think. So let's crack on and have a bit of fun with this, okay? I know you're going to learn a lot from this. This is going to be a very fun tutorial, so stay tuned, don't go anywhere. Okay, here we go. Now I have brought the camera up a bit and zoomed in just to the kind of the top 3/4 of the canvas, okay? Just because the canvas is so big that it's going to be very difficult to get everything in, because the camera would have to be zoomed right back. So I'm just going to focus on the top kind of half of the painting first, and then in part 2 I can bring it down and bring the palette down as well. Alright, I hope you don't mind. So 20 by 16 canvas, primed once, and here's my palette. Now it's just a basic paper palette, okay? You can buy them in any art or craft store. It's like a book of sheets of paper. It's kind of shiny paper, and you just tear them out. You don't have to tear them out, you can just leave them as they are and paint on them, and when they're finished then you can just put them away into a bin and forget about it, and there's no cleaning involved, so they're very handy for that. So look, I have a very big palette of colours today now, alright? A very big palette. I'll tell you what I have. Titanium white, Naples yellow, cadmium yellow pale, some alizarin crimson, burnt sienna, burnt umber, a little magenta, some black, some phaylo blue, and a little cadmium red. So lots of warm colours in this painting today, alright? Lots and lots of warm colours. Now, I have a pencil. I'm going to do a very quick sketch on this painting here, okay? So let me just see. We have, oh yeah, by the way, this is the old water mill in West Virginia, okay? Someone requested this let me think, I can't remember their name now, but it's in West Virginia, and it's just gorgeous. I've been planning to do this for a very long time, but I just had not got the time. I had so much tutorials to do for people, so I apologise. But here we go anyway. Look, now I'm going to start with the roof of this watermill. Roughly, just pick a point, let's say around here, okay? I know it's up fairly high. I don't want to go too high with this. It falls very slightly, doesn't it? Has a very, very slight fall on it. And then let's bring the front of the roof down like this. You don't have to be perfect with this now, by the way, okay? Just do it your own way. I'm just doing it very kind of a very rough, quick impression of this watermill, okay? Let's just go like that. We have another piece of the roof that comes down like this, and then it goes off into a bush. Okay, let's bring this point down here. It's just very quick lines, that's all, and it comes at a slight angle then like that. Okay, then we have a wheel. We actually have the top of the wheel goes across like that, where it brings the water across, and the wheel then is kind of under here, isn't it? I'm just going to put a very quick kind of impression of the wheel, just like that. We can fix this as we go. This is just very, very loose now. It's very loose work, okay? I'm going to put a big green bush in here. Alright, just so I can see that's the bush, and that's the edge of the other bush there. Trees, rather. Very loose sketching of the rock here. So let's just go over like that. Comes right across, doesn't it? And then it comes down and up like that. Very, very loose again. We have the top kind of the waterfall here. We have a piece of a big chunk of the side of the waterfall that kind of comes over like that. That's the dark piece in the shadow. Then we have a piece that comes across, and that's kind of for now I think that's all the sketch. Let's just put the edge of the water in down there. I don't want to go too much with all this sketching. I just want to make it very, very simple, you know what I mean? It kind of goes up like that. Okay, just kind of, I'll sketch out the big sections of rock. So let's put another rock like that in there. Okay, dark piece under there. I think that's all we need for now. I can put the rest of the stuff in part 2, okay? But I'm just focusing on this area up here for now. That's my main goal, okay? For this part. Right, brushes. Let's crack on. Let's have a bit of fun with this. I'm looking forward to this one. I have a little bit of turpentine mixed with some linseed oil, okay? Just a bit. I'm going to take a large brush, like a large stubby. I'll use this for the foliage actually, but I'll just use this one now just for blocking in, because this is a nice full, it's nice and full, okay? A nice full brush, which is what I want. This one is really worn. It won't give me the coverage I need, so I'm just using a very large, flat, soft brush, alright? I'm going to dampen that, and looking up at the back here now, you can see lots of siennas and yellows. So let's start with a mix of Naples yellow, cadmium yellow, and I'm going to take a hint of, now we have a lot of choice here. We have 2 reds, we have a pink. I won't go with magenta. Let's try a little hint of crimson. I want all of these colours just dark for now, and then I can add highlights to them, you see. So I'm going to go with crimson, little sienna, and a little cadmium yellow. Let me just check out that now. Okay, now let's just put that in. When I'm painting trees like this, I always tend to work from dark to light. So if I see a dark colour, I can see a dark colour there now, right? So I'm going to put in some burnt umber and sienna. And of course, I have quite a bit of turpentine in this. Well, not too much, but a little bit. A little bit of Naples yellow, just to thicken the paint up. It just makes it a little bit more opaque, okay? I'm going to put that in up there like that. You can see how thin the mix is now. You can see right through this paint into the grain of the canvas. It's just a very, very thin mix. And then I'm going to go with a little bit of crimson and burnt umber. So this is going to be very dark pink over on this side. And also, I didn't wet my canvas with linseed oil beforehand, okay? I don't think there's any need because we're working in small sections. So we don't really need to kind of wet our canvas with any kind of oil or liquid clear kind of a substance. We don't really need that. Let's take a little bit of black. Whoa, that's a dark colour, isn't it? Take some of that off with your brush. A little bit of pink. I'm going to put just a hint of that up here. It's just really about, I suppose, filling in different sections of colour. Now I took a little bit of cadmium yellow there, look, into that mix to make a nice dark green. We have a nice kind of a green here just at this side of the barn, or the water mill. My apologies. Okay, so let's just put that in there. Soften a little bit of it across up there. Soften that in, just kind of, you see I'm kind of messing around with my brush, sort of flicking it in here and there. And I'm going to mix a very dark green for this section here. So a tiny bit of turpentine. And let's take some black, some cadmium yellow, and a hint of burnt umber, because that will keep it on the warm side. Put that nice dark green in just around there. And look, we don't have to copy the colours exactly if we don't want to. We don't really need to. You can make your own colours. You can put in lots of different reds and browns and just make it your own, okay? Let me just go up there like that and soften it away. Okay, there we go. I'll darken a little bit over on this side as well. This now really, I suppose, part one is about painting trees, okay? Just getting nice little trees. Let's put a little yellow in there, just dab it in. You see what I did there now? I just picked up a little bit of yellow, look, with the corner of my brush. Okay? You can see that okay now, can't you? And I'm just kind of dabbing it with the corner of my brush. Creating little bushes, little bits of foliage. And let's add a little bit up there. There's a lot of greens in this, very, very rich dark greens. I may make it darker on this side. I think I will. I'll take a little black and a little burnt umber, and that will give you a nice dark green as well. So I'm just going to dab like this from the bottom. And it's a very cold green over here, isn't it? Now at the moment it's quite warm. Let's make it a little bit cooler, okay? Let me just darken this. Let's just take a tiniest little hint of phaylo blue into this. The tiniest hint. That will give you a nice cool green, but a dark green at the same time. And let's add a little bit of that colour just around here. That'll give a nice impact against the top of this water mill feature. Okay, now just dampen your brush, give it a good wipe on some tissue, and I'm going to go up and get this corner in up here. I'm going to take some Naples yellow and a little sienna and a little white. I'm just going to go up, pop that little colour in there. It's a nice sort of a soft, peachy type of a colour, isn't it? Soften it across into your yellow, and you can even go with your greens with this as well. Look, let's just merge everything together now with this colour, you see? Go over here, just merge it all in together. And already we're getting some nice effects, aren't we? Take a little sienna. What I do actually is take a little cadmium yellow with a little white. And a hint of Naples yellow. I'm just going to go down here behind that. Like so. Soften it in there. And I'm going to then take some of that colour and go up and create some light foliage up here. Just with the corner of this brush. Now, as I said, you can use a large stubby brush as well for this. If it's nice and kind of worn, you can absolutely. Let's take a little bit of that yellowy colour and just go up there. It's actually almost a white, okay? Very bright yellowy white. Let's just soften that in. Come down here with a little bit of that. I'm just very gently tapping the canvas, okay? Just very, very lightly. Creating some foliage off in the distance. The next thing I want to do is, let me see here now, let me just have a look around. Right, I'm going to take a small pointy brush and start putting in a few suggestions of some tree trunks here and there. I'll use maybe the dark green colour here, look. Take plenty of turpentine in that, and let's just suggest a couple of tree trunks popping up here and there, okay? A couple of branches coming off of them. Let's put one or two up here. You won't see much of these really because there's so much foliage there. You'll just see a suggestion. I know there's one or two bright ones here. We can put those in a moment. Okay, I'll go back to my foliage brush, and what I'm going to do, just give it a quick clean, okay? Quick wipe on some tissue, and I'm going to put in some darker shades up here. I'm thinking some burnt sienna, some burnt umber, and even just that. Just going to dab in some foliage, okay? Very lightly, look. And we let that soften down just to break up some of those branches and tree trunks. Very gently. There's just a bit of darkness up in that corner. I'll take a hint of crimson actually. Now, the thing about working with foliage like this is sometimes you need to try different brushes, because if this brush, if you don't feel like you're getting the results you want, I'll switch then to this very warm brush, okay? Let's try this. Let me just see now how this works. It might not work the same because it's a very, very warm brush. You can of course use a fan brush if you like as well. Let's try one. Let's take, we have a nice bit of cadmium red and crimson up there. Let's just dab a little bit of that around there. Okay. That's a nice little splash of red there, isn't it? I like that. Quite nice. Okay, just a little there. And then I'll go back to my thick flat brush, and I'm going to really darken some of this. It needs to be really dark. I want to create a lovely impact just in there. So black, yellow, little blue. Just like that, look. Nice dark colour in there. And I'll bring it up here just a little. And then what I'm going to do is start bringing some lights into this. So I'll give the brush a quick clean, take some cadmium yellow and a little hint of white and put it into that. Now we have a nice bright green, look. Then I'm just going to start very lightly with the corner, adding that in. And softening it across into the dark. You see, so slightly going from dark then into a lighter colour. Now clean your brush, keep them clean. Let's take another little white, a little hint of Naples yellow in that. And let's go a little bit lighter. Creating little patches of light. There we go, that's better. And these brushes are fantastic for all this. Just think of a very soft brush, okay? A very soft hair, and just put loads of paint on it, and away you go. Okay, now let me take a hint of yellow with Naples, and I'm going to go up here and add some of that in, just up at the corner there, and let's put a little bit over here. Now, we're not going too badly so far, are we? I'm thinking a little bit of sienna just around here, just to separate those a little. Now, so we have the majority of that background up there finished. The majority of it, we do really. I'm going to just put in the tree. I'm going to use, firstly, let me find a little round brush. Where is it? My little round stubby brush. It's there somewhere. What harm? I'll just use one I have here, okay? Just a nice small little round brush. Take some Naples yellow, a little burnt umber, and plenty of turpentine in this. And let's just put in 1 or 2 trees, like that. Make sure you keep cleaning your brush, okay? Take a bit more Naples yellow. It does help if you have shaky hands. For some reason my hands are a bit shaky today, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing, okay? You can get some really lovely trees with shaky hands. Just remember that. And let's go up and bring a couple of branches off of this. And then I'll take a little dark brown, a little burnt umber, and I put a little burnt umber on one side of these, just to create some darkness, a little bit of shadow. Perhaps a hint of black. The thing, you see, when working wet into wet like this, it's tricky to get the paint to sit, because you're putting wet paint on top of wet paint, you see. So it's quite tricky. I would suggest using plenty of turpentine, okay? So just make it nice and watery. That's fine, look, that's all we need. And then let's just put a hint of foliage here and there, just to break that up, look, and sit it down into the ground underneath. Okay, I'm thinking at this stage, should I move and do this lovely windmill? Should we maybe focus on some of that? I'm thinking perhaps maybe just add another 1 or 2 little branches coming in to the painting up here. Just 1 or 2. Okay. We can put more foliage over some of these later on, okay? In fact, we'll do it now. Let's take a bit of Naples yellow and just put a hint of foliage over some of those. There. That'll do fine. Right. Let's move on and do this lovely watermill. Should I zoom in? I'm going to zoom in. I think I should zoom in. Okay. That's good. I'm going to take a selection of flat brushes. Okay. 1 or 2 nice flat brushes here. I have medium stubby flat as well. Okay. And I also have a couple of small flats and 1 or 2 detail brushes. Okay. That's all you need really for this kind of little subject. Nice little subject here. Let's go with the small or the medium stubby brush. Now, let's look closely. We have a very light kind of a pinky colour on the roof. So let's take some crimson, a little burnt umber, and some Naples yellow. We go with a Naples yellow, I think. Da, 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 da. I love subjects like this. I really do, because you can learn a lot about a lot of different techniques in a subject like this. Let's take some more white. So I'm basically going for a very bright sort of pinky browny kind of a shade, okay? First, let's just get this in here for now. Following the shape of the roof all of the time, okay? Don't forget that. I took a hint of black there now, just a tiny hint of black, which was on the palette, and just moved it in with the colour I had. And you could even soften some of the green in as well. So you can see now I'm just sort of picking up different colours as I go. And because it's a flat brush I'm using, it's already giving me the shape of the slates on the roof, you see? Isn't that great? It's just so, it makes life so much easier. And already we have an impression of a lovely roof, don't we? Now I'm going to put a hint of purple into this. So I'm taking the tiniest hint of phthalo blue with a hint of crimson. So I'm creating a very deep kind of a purple, and I'm going to put that in down at the bottom and sort of work my way up with it and soften it into the paint as I'm going up, okay? So we basically have a slightly darker hue going down on the roof, up kind of at an angle, you see? And that's it. Nice and simple. Now we'll add some light as well to this later, but not just yet. Now let's take that same colour and let's go across with this one. I'll take a hint of burnt umber in this. And remember, just kind of pick up colours as you go. Add colours to it. Don't mix colours completely separate on your palette all the time. Just pick up little hints of colour and add them in. You see? Now what I want to do is take a small pointy brush, get some burnt umber, and put some burnt umber across here, look. And let's take a hint of black as well, actually. That's underneath the eave of the roof over there, okay? And we could even soften it down slightly onto that flat kind of a roof that we have. Drag it down very slightly, soften it in a little. Okay, now then what I could do is take some of that dark colour, a very thin mix of it, and maybe suggest one or two of the lines of slate, just here and there. Okay, just a hint. And we can do the same on the bottom. You don't have to do this. But it's just telling you what it actually is. Now I'm going to put a hint of light on this roof. I'm going to take another dry brush, take a hint of white with a hint of phthalo blue. Tiniest little hint. I'm making a very bright whitey blue. Okay? And I'm going to go up and just suggest a little light here and there on the roof. And I'm going to soften it in to the colour that's already there, okay? And I'll do the same down here. I just want to kind of catch the light a little bit, that's all. You see? Just the tiniest little bit, that's all I need. Now let's move on and do the sides of this roof, okay? Let's take, I can see a hint of sienna, maybe a hint of orange there as well. Let's take sienna, burnt sienna, and let's take a hint of, let me see now, a hint of Naples yellow. Okay, a little more. Plenty of Naples yellow because that will thicken the paint up lovely. Make the paint lovely and thick. Now let's just try this there for a moment, okay? It's not bad. I might take a hint of burnt umber, just to dull it down very slightly. Let's just fill it in with this colour first, I think. I'm only kind of trying this now, it may be wrong, but let's just try it. Let's fill it in with this colour first. I'll add a bit more burnt umber and maybe a hint of white. Just a tiny hint of white, just to make it a bit more kind of chalky. You understand? Now, let's just go and fill this in here, come down this side here. I want to take my time with this tutorial, I don't want to rush. So even if I have to do 3 parts, I will do 3 parts. I don't mind really. I just want to give you a good tutorial. Now some burnt umber with some black. Pull that down for this side here. Straight down. Soften it back into that tree. Okay, we'll sort out the tree later. And let's take more of that. That's a nice colour. Some burnt umber perhaps and some crimson. And I'm going to go from the underneath of the roof up here. I'm going to pull it down. Very lightly, almost barely touching the canvas, okay? Now, I'm going to do that again. No, in fact, what I will do, you see, we're changing as we go. I'll take my small pointy brush, okay? And I'm going to take some burnt umber. And I'm going to first put a nice dark, let's take some black and burnt umber, okay? Put a nice dark line underneath here. This may be a little tricky now because the paint is already wet, alright? So just try it. Let's put a little bit of black under there. Across under there. Now, then what I'm going to do is, let's take some sienna and some burnt umber. Nice thick paint on our brushes. And let's pull some lines from this straight down, okay? I'm going to separate these 2 sides of the building first like this, alright? Then I'm going to soften down, just suggesting some of the boards. So soften that dark line kind of in with the point of your brush, look, creating separate boards on the side of the building. Does that work? What do you think? I take a hint of black and brown for this side. Just like that. And I'm going to go up then and put a nice dark up underneath the roof here. Now it's quite a big one, isn't it? By that I mean it's kind of a very thick line. Just like that. And I'll put another little one. And the thing about this side is the lines are going the opposite way, aren't they? So I don't know if you can see that or not, but the lines are going this way. Now let's take hints of sienna and put hints of sienna across like that. And it's just a case of doing this all the way down really. And varying the lightness and darkness of each line, okay? So we have a couple of light ones, a couple of dark ones. I'll put in the dark ones first, just very randomly like this, look. Okay. Then I'll do some of the light ones. I'll take some Naples yellow for some of those. and come from the other side as well. You see? Perhaps even a hint of white. Let's get some light catching some of these. Now you could, if you wanted to, just use your palette knife and kind of scrape it across like that. That would give it the same effect. Or you could just use a flat brush and pull them across with a flat brush as well. Okay? There's lots of different ways you can do this. If you have your own way of doing it, just do it your own way, whichever you're happier with. Alright? That's what I'll say. Now, I'm going to take some burnt umber and just redefine this line up here. And I'm going to just add a little bit more to this one here. I must add a bit of light actually to this side here as well, with some Naples yellow. Okay, can't forget about that. And I'm going to take a little bit of the whitey blue and just add a little highlight here and there on the side of that roof, and perhaps a little here and there on that one also, and perhaps a hint of it on this out here. Okay. Now we have some windows, don't we? Windows, basically, I just take some black, really. I take a hint of black and suggest little rectangles, okay? Now forgive me if these are not straight, because I'm painting from an angle here, okay? I'm over towards one side of the canvas. I'm not directly in front of the canvas. So it's kind of tricky to get lines absolutely perfect sometimes. So forgive me if it just doesn't look right. Another little one here. Don't have to be perfect with all of these. It's just a suggestion, that's all. Another one or two down underneath. Now I'm going to put a hint of little window frame around that. I'm just going to use a little blue and lots of white. Okay? So again, a very bright blue. And just with the point of your brush, very, very loosely create the window frame. Now it is just an impression, okay? So don't try and get this absolutely perfect. A little bit there at the sides, a little bit there. You see? I'm just doing it quickly, very, very quickly. I mean, it's a painting after all, it's not a photograph. And let's just give it a little suggestion of a cross in the middle. There. It's just, you see, just a little suggestion. Let's put a hint of one just there, and we put a suggestion of a little door, a little bit of black, just there. I'll take some, no, I'm going to take some shadow colour. I'm going to mix a little phaylo blue with some crimson and a hint of white, okay? I'm going to go with a nice, rich, dark, shadowy colour. A little bit of purple. I'm going to just add little hints of purple just here and there, just to show off some of the shadows just a little bit more, okay? See, just a hint, that's all. I know it's probably a bit on the strong side, but it's just a little hint. Now, that window over here is a bit on the dark side. I think that's probably, that could be an actual doorway. Am I right? let's just do that. Then we have the base, which comes along kind of like this. Just suggest end of that, just like this for now. Okay. And then we've lots of little white, I don't know what they are, little whitey, yellowy sort of little things sticking up. I just don't know what they are, because the photograph I have is not really clear. So I'm just going to suggest them. Are they the little posts or something? I don't know. But I'm just going to put them in anyway. And we'll suggest a little bit of a railing across here. So you can see now I'm just creating just a little impression of little bits and pieces. Isn't that right? Let's try a little bit of burnt umber, and let's put a little shadow on some of these. Okay, all the way across like that. Okay. I'm tempted to do the wheel. I must say I'm tempted to do it. We just have a little bit of dark underneath this, don't we? Let's just put that in there like that. Just to get it in. And I kind of soften it up into that there. So there's no real separation up there, okay? And then I'll take some sienna with Naples yellow. And I'll bring that colour across here. Just kind of filling it in, that's all. Okay, you can suggest a few steps coming down like that, or even brickwork. You could even suggest some brickwork as well. So let's just suggest a little bit of that. It's just to fill it in really, that's all. Okay, and then a bit of a dark underneath that, coming around. I think we'll put in our wheel, shall we? Yes, let's try it. Let's take a small little flat brush, okay? I'm going to start with a very dark reddy brown. Let's go with some cadmium red crimson and a hint of burnt cyan, burnt umber. Okay, so burnt umber, crimson, cadmium red. Put in a very dark red. Look, let's just fill it in. Fill in this big circle. Let's go a little bit more on the cadmium red side and fill this in the outside where it comes around and disappears again. Okay, I know it's not a perfect circle. Let's actually go down a bit more with this, and we can make let's take a small brush actually, burnt umber and some black. Let's make this a little more round, yes? As in a little bigger. I find it quite difficult to get perfect circles, to be quite honest. It's kind of tricky enough in itself really, to get a perfect circle. There we go. So there we are, that's our circle put in. I can add a bit of black into it, just wiggle it around. And then, I know this is too sharp in here. I'm going to make that a little bit. I'm going to come out and down, creating more of a circle, okay? Just for now. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take some bright reds. I'm going to go with some cadmium red and a little cadmium yellow pale. So I'm going to create a very bright orangey red. And first I'm going to go around the perimeter of the circle with that colour, okay? Now you can leave it dry, if you so wish, to get it nice and vibrant. But I haven't the patience to let things dry, so I'm just going to paint it right on. Like so. Then we have centre. Then we have the spokes in between, don't we? Look. Just clean your brush after every one, or after every two even. Just keep your brush nice and clean. We put one more. Okay. And then we have the front of this, which is basically bright lines all the way across, look. Just use plenty of paint on your brush. How's that? Good? Now, I'm going to take a small brush, a little round brush, my little round stubby, take a little bit of burnt sienna, burnt umber, just going to go around this, just to fill in that area there. Take a little bit of black also, because it's quite dark, and the dark colour will show the wheel lovely, okay? There. Now, how is that? Okay, one more thing I want to do is I want to just sort out some of the greenery around here. I'm taking some cadmium yellow with a hint of black, and I'm just going to go in and cut into this building, you see? So that's pushing the building back then behind the foliage again, alright? You see that? Take a bit of white even, brighten it up just a little. And there we go. I will also bring a little bit of greenery just here and there in front of that. And I think that's good for part one. What do you think? What do you reckon? I think that's pretty nice for part one. Should I maybe add some brighter foliage on the top right? Can you see all the way up to the top of that there? You can. Let me just move this very slightly so you can see up to the top. Now, look, I'm just going to add a little bit of light foliage. That might be a bit too bright. I'll take some Naples yellow and a hint of crimson. There we are. My friends, I will call the part one finished. I think I'm happy enough with this for the moment. I'll be back next week with part two, and maybe even a part three. We can work away kind of on this now as we're going, even add some highlight to some of that red look. So let's take some Naples yellow and add a little hint of Naples yellow just kind of to the top one or two or three, you see what I mean? And then you could even add a little Naples yellow as well to one or two of these. Look, just a little flick. And you could add some darker colour, let's say some crimson, to the bottom ones, just to give it a little bit of shadow as it's coming down. Do you understand? You see? Just kind of give it that little bit of highlight. So even add a little bit of burnt umber as well to the bottom ones, look, because it's almost disappearing into the shadow underneath, isn't it? And then a bit of black. Isn't that a bit better? I think that's nicer. So there we go, my friends. Part one finished. Isn't that wonderful? Just keep it nice and simple. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be back with part two very, very soon. maybe in the next 1 or 2 days. I hope you don't mind. But I really want to take my time with this and do it nice. Okay? So I will see you very, very soon. Thank you and goodbye.